There is no shortage of things that I have trouble believing in, in this country. Sometimes I start to think that I'm the crazy one, but not this time. I've noodled this one for days now, and tonight I am positive that I'm on the right side of this issue. As disturbing details continue to come out about Barack Obama's spiritual advisor, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, and black liberation theology, I can't believe there's not more outrage on the liberal end of things. A possible future president has spent the last 20 years in a church where radical black nationalism is being preached. And it seems like only half the country cares right now. The line is being drawn along political lines, which I've never understood that. It's never about left and right. It's always about right and wrong. So here's the point tonight. There is a huge double standard happening here, and I need you to understand one simple thing. Questioning the belief of a black preacher or black theology or a black candidate does not make you a racist. And here's how I got there. First, let me talk about the double standard here. In my opinion, Obama's Reverend Wright has said unforgivable things about white people in America. Remember, racism is a human flaw, not a white one. You wouldn't excuse a racist or anti-American comments from a friend or co-worker or, dare I say it, Don Imus. Why should we be expected to accept it from a man who is advising a presidential candidate? If John McCain's priest had said that poor blacks are the problem in America, the media, including me, would be calling for his head. He wouldn't have had time to make an important speech. Now, let's look at the second part of this issue, black liberation theology. Remember Mitt Romney and the media's demand that he explain and justify his faith's beliefs? Not his politics or his policies, but his faith. Fine print from 100 years ago. Well, where are you now, Today Show? How about a little equal time on this issue? Obama has spent decades listening to a true believer in black liberation theology. This is an extremist belief system that wants to kill a God who isn't against white people, calls for God's destruction of the white enemy. This isn't, hey, you got more than one wife in 1881. This is religious extremism that we've come to associate with the Middle East. Those radical thoughts belong to James Cone. The author, the Reverend Wright himself, cites as responsible for the foundation of his faith, and he says it on the church's website. Barack Obama says that Reverend Wright is responsible for his foundation of faith. Well, if that doesn't fill you with rage, it should at least fill you with a few questions. And if it doesn't fill you with rage, I don't know what will. Wait, I do. Tonight, America, here's what you need to know. Reverend Wright and radical black theology are one thing, but now we've got an endorsement by the new Black Panther Party. That's quite another thing. The new Black Panthers posted an endorsement on Barack Obama's website. It remained until yesterday, 2 days after Barack's big speech on tolerance and race. For the record, Obama didn't post that. It looks like the Black Panthers did. And the other part, the new Black Panther Party, just as bad as the KKK. They are identified as an extremist hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. In addition to the widely held belief that they advocate violence, they demand slavery reparations, the release of all black prisoners, and a separate country for African Americans. Granted, anyone can endorse a candidate, and Barack Obama says he is not connected to the new Black Panther Party. But what I want to know is, how far is the philosophy of the new Black Panthers from the theology of black liberation theology? Malik Shabazz is the president of Black Lawyers for Justice and legal counsel for the new Black Panther Party. Malik, what is the difference between black liberation theology and Black Panther philosophy?
I would say not much. Imagine, Glenn, if you and your white children and your family were subject to a black God, a black Christ, and a black religion for hundreds of years that taught you that white was nothing. You would need a white liberation theology. You would want your white Jesus back, your white God back, your white angels back. So black liberation theology comes out of us being force-fed a white supremacist religion that had degraded and destroyed us.
Yeah.
And it's just an effort to say that Jesus loves us too.
Yeah, I find that hard to accept that I would I want my God to kill blacks, but that's a different story.
I don't know where you get that from.
Well, black liberation theology.
So what you have to understand, sir, if Mr. Obama is a man who really does love America, and he is a man that can unite America, and I believe he's the best hope for America. His church, the United Church of Christ, strongly, which is a white-dominated church, backs Trinity United Church of Christ. So what this has been distorted. Reverend Wright is not a racist, and Obama is not a product of a racist church. I think this has all been misunderstood.
Okay. Do you believe, like Reverend Wright, that the white government of the United States of America created AIDS?
I would say that if you study the Tuskegee experiments and the syphilis that was injected into black men, if you study the research that my legal organization, Black Lawyers for Justice, and others have shown that at Fort Detrick, Maryland, and under Henry Kissinger, that biological weapons programs targeted at depopulation of key areas, including Africa and other darker areas, that this took place in America. It has not been disproven that AIDS does not come from a man-made source or the United States government. It's still a debate around that. It's not a product of paranoia. Well, imagine, Glenn.
It hasn't been proven that there, aren't orange groves on the sun either. But
how would you feel?
Yes.
The reason why, how would you feel, Glenn, if you had to understand that your ancestors had been in slavery and bondage for 300 years, that your ancestors had been denied the right to become policemen, firemen, attend schools, get mortgages, and face. How would you feel?
I tell you, I will tell you that I would feel so unbelievably proud that that country has made so much progress that the richest woman in America is Oprah Winfrey, and possibly the next president is also an African American. I'd feel pretty darn good that we've made an awful lot of progress. So where is the line? How come Don Imus gets fired for saying things in a comedy routine, but a guy like Obama's Reverend Wright only gets away with, saying what he said so far, and it's far worse. He's saying it to a man who could be president. Ken Blackwell, Senior Fellow for Family Empowerment of the Family Research Council. I have to tell you, Ken, that last interview was just a little spooky for me.
I congratulate you, Glenn, for being in the conversation.
Yeah, well,
but if you take the Latin term e pluribus unum, from many one, you begin to understand that the beauty of America is that we are one nation. Now, if you buy into a doctrine that says that is a separatist doctrine, that actually is color conscious, not color blind, it becomes very difficult for you to lead the march to unity. And I think that's what we have to ask Senator Obama. Either you believe the doctrine, and if you don't believe the doctrine, but you are in the church, then you're fooling yourself, or you are fooling the people of the church.
I have to tell you, I don't know who's fooling who anymore. Yeah. I don't know what to believe anymore. Here's what I'm afraid of. 1968. I'm afraid that if Obama doesn't win the nomination, or Obama doesn't win the presidency, how do you have people like the Black Panthers not riot in the streets? How do you have people not say that it's the big bad white man, once again, keeping Barack Obama down?
Well, Glenn, I want to take this opportunity to say, we have some challenges in this country, but within the black community, there has always been this tension between which approach we take, whether it's Martin Luther King's approach or whether it is Elijah Muhammad's approach. One is a separatist, one actually fought for social justice within the American framework. And I'm saying that if you use the words of King, you cannot adopt the doctrine of Elijah Muhammad.
The hate speech that I think that I heard coming from Reverend Wright is not just, it's not theology. This is politics, right or wrong.
It comes right out of the liberation theology that ran across Africa, ran across Latin America. It found its origin in Marxism.